Competitive action returns to London Stadium in the League Cup. Okay, it's not the league. We're just going to have to sort of wait for that one. But it was against Championship opposition. So this was an opportunity to get a little bit of a barometer to see how we are going to stack up against some of our contemporaries. Portsmouth made the journey to the London Stadium. 9,000 fans at their back. Absolutely fantastic effort. They're a fantastic set of fans. There was about 53,000 was the attendance that was reported. We set a new record for the first round of the League Cup. Previously, it was held by Leeds United. We broke their record by some 18,000 fans. Now, whether all of them were necessarily in the stadium, we know the trick that clubs like to employ. They sell a ticket, and come match day, they count that as an attendee, whether they were there or not. It's an old trick. They all do it. But anyway, it was a really good effort to see the amount of fans that were in attendance yesterday. Nice hot day, good conditions. It was proper, good conditions for a good free flowing game. I thought the pitch was in good condition, as it usually is. Now, there was a few selections that I thought were quite interesting, just to sort of talk about them. So Edson Álvarez was selected. Now, if you go and watch my preview of the match, I put in my selection, I did put Edson Álvarez. I didn't think that Nuno would, however, but much to my surprise, Nuno did select the Mexican captain. And bearing in mind, he's not had any competitive action since that game against England in the Azteca in the World Cup. He did. You was expecting a little bit of rust, and maybe towards the end you did see that. A little bit of a lack of match sharpness and all the rest of it. He got his customary yellow card, as is usually the way, but I thought he added a little bit of bite and determination and fighting spirit to the central midfield area, and we're going to need that this season, make no mistake. We're going to be in for a bit of a battle as we go along. Another player that I was pleased to see included, and again, I put in my starting 11, didn't really suspect that Nuno would do it. However, I was proved wrong. Álvarez Orford came in, and I think he acquitted himself well, and I think has given Nuno a decision to make. Is he going to stick with the young academy product? I hope he does. I think he's done enough, in my opinion. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the starting lineup, some of the players that are sort of put in. Now, before we go any further on to this particular match review, if you wouldn't mind just dropping a like on the stream and giving us a hype if you've got any available, this is what pushes the content out to places it otherwise wouldn't reach. Get your comments in the section below and give us your observations, and whether you agree or disagree with me, not a problem. We'll have that conversation. You may well be right. I might have my mind changed, so I'm not sort of closed-minded enough. So if you think there's anything that I say in any of these observations that you think is incorrect, then please come back at me. It's not a problem. Share this on your social media platforms. That would also boost the exposure of this particular bit of content. And if you're new around here, if I can draw your attention in the top left-hand corner to that QR code, if you get out your mobile device and scan that, it takes you to our YouTube subscription page. Subscribing is free, data safe, and it only takes a couple of seconds of your time. All it does is help to grow the channel into something bigger and better than it is as you currently find it. So come and join us on the journey. It could be fun this season. We thank you very much indeed for your support. So, when the game got started, there was a little bit of sort of like toing and froing. You're not quite sure who's wrestling for power. Portsmouth got an early corner from the kickoff that we dealt with. We got a corner a little bit after that. Jared Bowen swung it in. Edson Álvarez was sort of like getting involved. He got his head to the ball just outside the 6-yard box, but it went straight at 𝘞𝘢𝘵, who made a very comfortable save. Now, we then, for the next half hour or so, it was sort of like a little bit sort of two teams feeling each other out a little bit. There was a hydration break, and there was in round about the midway point of the first half, and again in the second half. I seriously hope this isn't something that maybe some FIFA directive that has been snuck in or something. We weren't playing in the middle of the Arizona desert, for goodness sake. You can bet your bottom dollar if this game was on American networks, at that point they'd have been chucking the adverts out. You know that's what would have happened. I hope that this isn't something we're going to see more of. I appreciate it was a hot day, but come on, seriously, they should be able to cope. The fans in the crowd also didn't like it. They booed. I was one of them. Talking of booing, I didn't realise this, and I knew that there was talk about this possibly going to happen. David Sullivan was apparently there. He'd said he was going to be there. We all probably thought, no, he wouldn't do that. And apparently he was there. Absolutely shocking. And as a result of that, do you know, so one of the things that I'm a little bit surprised about is that there were a few songs about him. Not really too much, given that he was sat right there. I'm guessing he was probably in one of the boxes. He wouldn't have been in a seat with any of the riffraff like me or any of the others. That would have been interesting if he had. But anyway, onto the goal that Portsmouth got, which kind of put a spanner in the works. Now, look, I'm not trying to be patronising to Portsmouth. Like I say, they're a club that I've got a lot of time for, and I respect their fans tremendously for everything they've gone through and where they've managed to drag the club from. But having said that, we're a team that still has a lot of players that are Premier League level. And Portsmouth last season finished 18th out of 24 in the Championship. So really and truly, there's a reasonable expectation, especially as we're the home team as well, that we should have been able to put Portsmouth to the sword. And although we did that in the end, we did have to go a goal down. Portsmouth got a corner. It was swung in. Max Kilman, actually, I think, defended the corner pretty well. He gets up, he gets his head to the ball, and he makes the clearance. There's really not much more that he could be expected to do. However, lurking just outside the penalty box, if you go back and have a look at my match preview, I mentioned one of their key players was 𝘗𝘁𝘳𝘵𝘊𝑗𝑐. Now, 𝘗𝘗𝘁𝘗𝑗𝑐 happened to be lurking just outside the penalty box. He chests the ball down, left foot strike, and as he's being closed down by the aforementioned Max Kilman. Again, he's doing his job very, that's what he needs to do. He's played the ball out. It's dropped to one of their players. He's coming out to close the player down along with a couple of other players. But unfortunately, as the ball is sort of arrowing towards the goal, it takes a touch off of Kilman. That's just enough to put the ball just beyond the reach of 𝘗𝘢𝘐𝘗𝘳𝘐𝑚𝑎𝑛𝑠ON, who was diving to his right-hand side. The ball nestles in the back of the net. This is not the start that we was expecting, and we're 1-0 down. Now, there was also another opportunity that Portsmouth had before we equalised. I'm not too sure who their number 19 was, but he took a shot. He was probably a little bit far out, to be fair, but he gets the shot away and 𝘗𝘢𝘐𝘗𝘳𝑚𝑎𝑛𝑠ON has to dive down smartly to his right-hand side. He makes the parry and then recovers the ball at the second attempt. Now, we then move forwards to 43 minutes. We're winding towards half-time, and we managed to put a little bit of a move together. It all starts from 𝘗𝘁𝘍𝑜𝑟-Peters, who on the right-hand side moves the ball inside to Lewis Orford. He swings the ball to the left to Ollie Scholes, his fellow academy graduate. Another academy graduate was then the recipient of the ball, which was Mohamedou Kante, who makes this rampaging run down the left-hand channel into the penalty box, and he offloads the ball to standing on the roughly around about the penalty spot, just a little bit further forwards, was Taty Castallanos. He gets a side foot finish to the ball, steers the ball past Schmidt, 1-1. Now, you're probably thinking at that point, okay, we've got the equaliser. We've managed to sort of move the momentum towards us just that little bit. Let's get in at half-time. Don't concede any stupid goals. Let's get in at half-time, honours even, and we can reset, we can reevaluate, we can have a conversation about what's going well, what's not going so well, and put these improvements into place. Well, it actually got better because we actually went in 2-1 up. And it was a move that started, I think it was Álvarez plays the ball from back to front, and it's Ollie Scholes who's on the left-hand side. The ball looks like it could go out for a throw-in. However, Ollie Scholes leaps like an East End salmon. He's actually from Bromley, but whatever. Leaps like a salmon, gets his head to the ball, keeps the ball in play. Now, from that resultant play, Pablo is the beneficiary of the ball, and he's making a move from left side to in. He's blocked off by one of the Portsmouth defenders, but I also think he's miscontrolled the ball. I think he's taken a bit of a heavy touch. But lurking around the area, just left of centre, and it's a bit of an odd position for him, is Jarrod Bowen. Jarrod Bowen normally plays on the right. And there he was, sort of lurking just left of centre. And as the ball sort of like rolled away from Pablo, he's standing there, and he's just taken this left foot shot. The ball looks like Schmidt is going the right way. However, there's an intervention from a Portsmouth defender, gets his head to the ball, and it just straightens up the trajectory of the flight of the ball. And now Schmidt's dive is completely taken out of the picture. The ball flies to his right-hand side as he's diving left. The ball hits the back of the net. It's 2-1, and we're heading basically towards half-time, and that is how it finishes. So it's a really good finish to the first half. We then get in. There's no substitutions that are made by West Ham. We come out with the same starting 11 in the first half as we did the second. So we actually managed to put a nice little bit of a move together in the opening few seconds of the second half, with 𝘗𝘁𝘍𝑜𝑟-Peters, who I thought was getting down that right-hand side to good effect. They were playing a nice little ball. It was Walker-Peters who found, I think it was Bowen. I'm just having a look here. Bowen to Pablo back to Bowen. They then find Taty Castallanos. The ball's blocked off. We're looking threatening. We're looking like we're trying to get a third goal that will seal the deal. And then a little bit later, 5 minutes into the second half, we managed to get it. Walker-Peters again, buccaneering run down the right-hand side. offloads the ball to an underlapping Jarrod Bowen. Jarrod Bowen manages to swing the ball in with his right foot. Taty Castallanos is leaping like an Argentinian salmon. He gets his head to the ball and gets a nice downwards header, steering the ball to Schmidt's right. He's diving, but there's no way he can get it. 3-1. Now, from that point on, you kind of think the game's done, although Álvarez, 4 minutes later, manages to get his customary yellow card, didn't you know it? Now, to be fair to Portsmouth still put up a little bit of resistance. They managed to put the odd little flurry together. They kept Hermansen on his toes from time to time. I thought Kilman actually had a really good game. There was a few little moments from him that I looked at and thought, okay, look, he's in the Championship, but he starts to look like a player that maybe once upon a time commanded a transfer fee of the region of 40 million quid. Now, whether you think he's worth 40 million quid or ever was worth 40 million quid is a matter of speculation. Both teams in the remainder of the second half, they had little flurries, they had little moments where they kind of put little half chances together. Pablo, I don't know whether he hit the post or whether the goalkeeper maybe got a touch, but he had a shot, but he just can't buy a goal, can he? Max Kilman, again, last stages of the game, makes a nice little break from centre-back position and drives deep into sort of, well, say deep, just outside the centre circle, offloads the ball. 𝘊𝘭𝘵𝘳𝘵 gets a shot away. Schmidt, it's straight at him. And the game sort of peters out from there, you know, and that's how it finishes, 3-1. I think we were deserved winners, in all honesty. I think that the Portsmouth team, they did their best. They put us to the test by putting us a goal down and made us sort of, I think outside of that 8-minute spell, about 7-8 minute spell where we managed to get the 3 goals, I think we looked okay. I don't think we looked anything mind-blowing. For me, the man of the match, the guy that I was the most impressed with, and I think I'm probably going to say someone that no one's going to be too surprised about. He got 2 goals, he got a brace. Taty Castallanos. I think he's going to be a key player this season. He's already got 2 goals in competition. Okay, it's not league, but he's got 2 goals in competition. I think once he's firing in the Championship, I think he'll be getting an absolute bundle of goals. If you look at some of the players that got goals last season in the Championship, I think, was it 𝘗𝘕𝘵𝘴𝘮? He got 17 odd goals. Well, I'm not being funny. Taty will probably get that by Christmas, I would suggest. The turn of the year, somewhere like that. I dare say he'll be on about 17 league goals by then. He will absolutely mop up. We just need to make sure we put in the service. Now, one of the pieces of the jigsaw that I think is going to be coming in, and I've done a little piece about this player, Manor Solomon. Manor Solomon will be a really good piece of business. The concern I've got is obviously his knee injury that he sustained whilst he was at Tottenham. But he's got Championship, experience. He got the winning goal for Leeds United in the game that sealed them the league championship. If you remember, they were vying with Burnley, and it was the goal that he got on that last game of the season that sealed the deal for Leeds United and allowed them to lift the EFL Championship trophy on the final day of the season. He got, I think it was 39 appearances, 10 goals. So this is a guy that will come into an environment that he's already excelled at not too long ago. So I think this is going to be a really shrewd piece of business. There's still some other pieces of the jigsaw that we need to make sure that we iron out. Do we get another centre-back in? Is there a possibility Disasi is going to be coming in? Engles is another name that's been mentioned. Troy Parrott. I suspect, I've heard whispers, I've heard little clues that would suggest that Troy Parrott, is very, very close. And I suspect that once the announcement is made, and it may already have been made by the time that this piece goes out, that Manor Solomon has been confirmed as a West Ham United player, I suspect that he will very quickly be followed by Troy Parrott. As I say, I've just heard a few little clues, a few little whispers from people that I trust with this information to say that this deal is moving ever closer. So if we get in Solomon, if we get in Troy Parrott, if we get in Engles, if we get in Disasi, I think that's possibly going to be enough. I think that could be enough for us to strengthen. Obviously, we can then reassess when we get to January. But if we get those signings in, having done the business that we've done with getting 𝘗𝘕𝘵𝘗𝘵 in, who I think could prove a very, very smart piece of business, a bit like Manor Solomon. Possibly Veltman's not going to be playing as many minutes, and he made, obviously, an appearance off of the bench yesterday. I think that that could be a really smart, some really smart bits of business. Veltman offers you cover for 𝘊𝘭𝑗𝘳𝘵𝘃 at right back, but he can also fill in at centre back. He's quite a versatile player, and obviously I think that would allow Nuno, if he wanted to play 3 centre backs, maybe Veltman could step in as the right centre back. It gives that little bit of, another little element to things. And then obviously you've got Manor Solomon, as I say, his pace, his directness, I think will be absolutely critical for laying the ball on a plate from the left-hand side for Taty Castallanos. We know that Bowen's going to provide service from the right-hand side. I guess the left-hand side is that little bit of an unknown quantity. The other thing I want to also mention is the shape that we was playing. The shape that we was playing yesterday seemed very much like it was a 4-3-3. In pre-season, we seemed to be playing 4-4-2 quite a lot of the time, but yesterday it was very obvious that we played 4-3-3. And the weird thing was, it was actually Taty who was on the left. Pablo was playing through the middle. Bowen was obviously on the right-hand side. But it was definitely a 4-3-3 formation that Nuno started with at London Stadium yesterday. I was up watching it from up on high where I normally am sat in Block 203. And it was very, very obvious that it was Bowen right, Taty left, and Pablo through the middle. I thought Pablo did okay. I mean, like I say, he had a chance right at the end. He just looks absolutely shot as far as confidence is concerned for scoring goals. He'll never give you anything less than 100% effort, but in terms of his actual output, in terms of his end product, I just don't think he's good enough. I don't think he's good enough. And I think if we are going to get people like Manor Solomon and Troy Parrott coming in, then I think it's going to be players like Pablo that's going to be the collateral damage. It is what it is. The problem from a business point of view, I guess, is that we've spent 20 million quid on this guy, and I don't think if we move him on, we're going to get anything even close to that. But it is what it is. But that's my observations of the game between West Ham United and Portsmouth. I think, in all honesty, I think we did enough. I don't think we needed to do more than what we did. I think if we played like that against Burnley next week, we could have a problem. But I'm hoping that this has shaken off a little bit of the rust. We've calibrated ourselves now properly. We've had the pre-season games. We've had now competitive action where we've now needed to find another gear. And we also got tested in that because we went 1-0 down. And in a way, that actually could be something that maybe is to our advantage, because we've been shown that if we're not on our mettle, we are going to be a little bit up against it. Even from a team like Portsmouth, who were 18th in the Championship last season, can find a way to put us on the back foot and put us 1-0 down, and we need to find an answer. And we found the answer, so credit to Nuno, credit to the players for rising to the challenge. But make no mistake, when we come across the Burnleys and the Wolves and the Wrexhams and those sort of teams that are at the top end of the Championship, they're the ones that are going to punish us. If we're slack, if we're sloppy, if we're not taking things seriously, these are the teams that are absolutely going to put us to the sword. So these players that we're looking to bring in, the likes of Manor Solomon, the likes of Troy Parrott, the likes of Engles, hopefully Disasi makes the decision that he's better served in coming to a team that actually wants him, as opposed to a team in Crystal Palace that, well, okay, we'll have you if we have to. I hope that he understands that this is the place where really he's going to be appreciated and will be able to rebuild and resurrect his career. So we can get those signings done. Then I think it puts us in, hopefully, and I'm saying this touching wood, I think it puts us in a really good place for the EFL Championship assault. Like I say, we've got the transfer window in January to reassess, and if we need to strengthen and go again because maybe there's been an injury or something, I don't know. But so that's basically how I see things. But you might have some other observations that you want to get stuck into. So you've got your comment section below. Get stuck into it. Tell me what you thought about the game yesterday. And what do you think about the strengthening of the players like Solomon, Parrott, etc.? Do you think that there's maybe some more players that we need to consider bringing in? I'm hearing a lot of people that have said online that they think that maybe we need to bring in a right winger. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but I think that these signings, I think, would probably do us until January, I suspect. You might have a different point of view on that, and I'd be very happy to hear that. So let me know what your thoughts are on all of these things and much more besides. You've got your comment section below. Get stuck in, and I'll try and answer as many of them as I possibly can. I'll try and answer all of them in actual fact. Anyway, before I go, please don't forget to drop a like on the stream. Give us a hype if you've got one available. Share this on your social media platforms. That helps us boost the exposure a little bit further. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, get out your mobile device, scan the QR code that's in the top left-hand corner. That will take you to our YouTube subscription page. Subscribing is free, data safe, and it only takes a couple of seconds of your time. It helps to grow the channel into something bigger and better than it is as you currently find it. So what's not to like? Come and join us on the journey. Thank you very much indeed for your support. And until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you again soon. Come on, you irons.